Welcome.
Jesus is our inspiration.
Welcome to the deposit.
God's love is our motivation.
Welcome to the deposit with Brian and Dinah Lee,
It's our inspiration.
where we use what God has deposited in us
It's our
to
motivation.
inspire you to make a difference with what God has deposited in you. So come on,
It's our motivation.
let's do this. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Welcome to the deposit with Brian and Dinah Lee. We are on season 3,
Yes.
episode 4. So
Yes.
welcome. I hope you come in and join us today.
Yeah. And today is really awesome. I'm finally back from Mardi Gras. I just got it back pretty late, and just here to there's so many things that God's done. I'm so thankful and just inspired and encouraged from all that's taken place over this last week.
Yeah. So, as you come into the deposit, that we share powerful testimonies and divine appointments that are impacting people for Christ in our everyday life.
Yeah.
And our goal is to equip you, inspire you, encourage you to step out of your comfort zones and share the gospel and watch God move in the lives of people around you.
Yes, and I guess this episode, it is exactly that stepping out of our comfort zones. Man, it's never just easy just to go. It is intense. It is unnerving at times. It is actually having some scary moments, but every time as we step out, we get to see things that we never would have seen unless we took that step.
Yeah. So before we get started on sharing some of the things that happened down at Mardi Gras, if you had a chance to listen to last week's episode, I kind of hosted it by myself. So that was definitely stepping out of my comfort zone for me. But Brian was on the episode. We got to meet the team and just hear their hearts for why they want to go and how many years they've been going down to Mardi Gras and some of the things that really impact them from their trips down there. And Brian also did a couple of lives while he was down there. So if you haven't had a chance to check those out, definitely you can watch it, obviously last week's episode on our page, The Deposit with Brian and Dinah Lee, and then the lives on Brian's personal page. And so you can get caught up on that. And I can't remember if there was something else I was going to share. Oh, the other thing that we had a big announcement on last week's episode that The Deposit is now a podcast. So you can listen to it on all your favorite streaming platforms. So you can watch it live where you see our faces, or you can listen to it at the gym, on the way to work, curled up on the couch, wherever is your favorite place to listen to podcasts. And so we truly do we do this so that we can encourage you, inspire you to just step out of your comfort zone and just pray for that courage. God says he will give us the courage to step out and that he's always with us. And so we pray that listening to the testimonies and listening to what God is doing really encourages you to step out as well. So, yeah. So welcome home, honey.
So good. I just got home late last night. What a long day.
Close to midnight, we walked in the door. So a little bit of flight delay and whatnot, but he's home and we're so thankful. And getting it live is the best. Thank you. So anyway, welcome home. And how was your trip?
Well, my trip was it had some ups and downs in the sense of it was incredible just connecting with our team. This is my 4th time going with the team from Temple, Texas, and with my friend Brian Allen and just the wonderful people there. And it felt like coming back to family. This was the first time that I've traveled outside of the U.S. and to do ministry in 3 years. And it just so happens the last time that I did it was when I went to Mardi Gras in 2020. So coming back.
And I got to go with that.
Yeah, you got to go.
I got to go on that trip.
On that trip.
So that was my last U.S. trip as well.
So coming back, it was just a great reunion, with the team, and just we began to just start out with prayer each morning, and it was intense just from the get-go. But as we prayed, I believe that there were some breakthroughs, and then as we went on into the streets, we just started out with prayer, praying everywhere and anywhere. It's like there's millions and millions of people on the streets. It's so many things that there's a lot of things going on at the same time, and it's just all your senses are
on overload.
And you're just wondering, God, I'm here now. And it seems like we're just a small team in the midst of millions of people, and we just begin to pray. And we ask God for those divine appointments, and it's amazing when it happens.
For those that don't know, like, what is Mardi Gras? What's actually like happening? I guess on the streets or in the atmosphere.
Well, I don't necessarily know. I can't tell you exactly the complete historical origins of Mardi Gras, but in New Orleans. Every year there's a celebration. It's like a week-long celebration before Lent, where people come down to party, to have a good time, to cast off restraint, and basically and anything and do anything that they want to. So it may be just a family there just wanting to take in the sights, and there's a hardcore partying, a lot of witchcraft. But people basically casting off restraint for 7 days, and they're wearing masks, beads, and different things. So many, a lot of, I think someone call it debauchery, but just there's everything that you can imagine happening on the streets. And so we get there, and we're right in the middle of this, and just having to just keep our hearts, I guess what you'd say, pure, and also be able to just somehow reach the people around.
Yeah. And so we, like you said, there is a lot of witchcraft that goes on, and we see, the Voodoo Mart, there's a Voodoo museum, there's witchcraft kind of stores along the streets. And then, of course, when Mardi Gras happens, there's people doing readings and different things right on the streets. And so what have you encountered while you're there?
Well, this year it was really interesting, because it seems like the level of witchcraft and stuff seemed to be more pronounced, more overt. And while we were just watching a Christian rapper rapping on the streets, they have this young lady that was demonized, and she was just heckling, just doing anything to distract, and also just began for anybody that would try to just intervene, which I did, and then she just that the demon inside of her just would not let up, just would continue just to try to distract in different things. So I engaged her, and I just said, and I just asked her, what's going on with you? And she she just began saying all these different things. And she said, well, I go to church. I speak in tongues. I do these different things. I said, and then I asked her, who does she serve? I said, who is that? Who is that? She wouldn't answer. I said, his name is Jesus. Can you say Jesus? She said, no. And she just kept on going all around the crowd. And it was very, very disturbing, but also that is something that spirit in her was just did not like what was going on. But on the last day, the last day that we were there, we had a huge worship, a time with all of the people that came there to share the gospel with the ones on New Orleans.
And there's hundreds of them that
meet.
Not
thousands.
Yeah, or thousands, that meet kind of in front of Jackson Square.
Yeah.
And have this incredible worship time on Monday afternoon for everybody to just come and get together and worship the Lord.
Yeah, and as we were worshiping, this young lady came, and she was doing the same thing. And then something happened where she just fell to the ground. And then the people around her just began to pray over her, and he cast out that demon.
Wow.
And it was so cool to see. It's always so cool to see that truly the power of Jesus is far greater and superior than any other power. And this lady was set free on the streets.
Amazing. Woohoo!
yeah. It was pretty cool.
It was awesome. And so what were some of maybe one or two of your highlights from the trip?
Well, there's a lot. This time is not big enough for me to share all of them, but there's some that is pretty cool. One of them was let me just show you. Yeah.
Hi, Belinda.
Yeah, one of them was this young man. He's a pastor in I think in Tennessee or Alabama, one of those two. I met him. His name is Rodney. Now, I was coming back to Jackson Square as we were walking around the French Quarter, and I as soon as I didn't know he was a pastor, but as soon as I saw him, I just smiled, and I felt I needed to go over to him. And so I hesitated for a little bit, but this feeling kept on getting stronger that I needed to go over to him. So I went over to him and I said, I talked to him a little bit, and I said, I don't know who you are, but God has something. God's hand is on your life. So what do you do? And so he said, first he said he was in the military for 20 years. Then he said that he worked another job for 15 years. So I thought that I was off because I thought that he was a pastor sometime, and of course and he said, and I am also a pastor. I said, yes, that's it. Yes. And I said, well, God gave me just a word for him that just really, really impacted him, and just was a confirmation of some things. But and so afterward, he told me this. He said, I was actually in a church downtown in the French Quarter, just praying, and I felt the words divine appointment come to my heart. And I have a team that I wanted to share, that I was kind of mentoring. So I wanted to share that with them, but I didn't know, I didn't have the freedom to. And so he comes out on just before I met him. They come out from there, come on the street, and then I come up to him and I share what I shared. And then he said, then I realized that word was not for me. It was not for me to teach about my team, but it was for me. I said, no, that what it was is that this divine appointment that happened, that was so significant to you, God spoke that to you, it happened to you. And now you can teach your team about the divine appointments because you've experienced it. And he just, and he was just blown away. And then I got to meet his wife and different people around him, but it was just so cool. Just, those divine appointments that were specifically for this time in this place, no coincidence. And we got to experience that.
Yeah, it's really cool because in the midst of all of the people that are there who obviously need the Lord, it's really good to go and on the streets and just encourage one another.
Yeah.
And so that is really awesome that you got to have that heart connection with him, and he maybe learned something too that he wouldn't have otherwise. So
yeah. And what I love about it also, these divine appointments are, it's not just me blessing them, it's them also blessing me. And so he actually prayed for me and shared a scripture for me and my family that really blessed me and really just spoke to my heart. And so it was pretty cool.
Awesome. And you have a couple other pictures and things that you'd like to share.
Yeah. I share this one. On the streets there, like Diane said, there are people that they go every year. There's some people that have gone to Mardi Gras to minister for 40 years. And then there's those that just come for the first time. And Brian Allen and different ones of us, as we were praying in the morning, we felt that we need to pray for some of those people and just encourage them, because it is unnerving. And so I met this guy that's on the left here. And he actually happens to be from South Dakota and lives in Sioux Falls. and there's a whole story to that. But as we connected, God really just really gave me the opportunity to love on him, to pour into him, and just encourage him, and just share testimonies of things that God's done on the streets. And he was, it's like, because if you can see in there, they're right in the middle of Bourbon Street, which is the most crazy street of them all. And there's every kind of thing going past them. They're standing there with a cross, and they're getting screamed at. They're getting just cursed at, but also they're getting to have these divine moments with people. And so, but you could tell that he was like a deer in headlights. And as I'm speaking to him, you could just see hope. You could just see confidence begin to come in, and just he was very, very encouraging. The man on the right, he had actually been there for a long time, and he actually invited the one on the left, and he was just a good man. I think he's a pastor, and so we talked right on the streets, and you could tell that he had such a love and compassion for people, and it was just another one of those divine appointments.
That's awesome. It really goes to show, the war against light and darkness, good and evil. If you don't have it in you, like the Bible says, if you're foolish, you are not going to want to see the truth. You aren't going to want to know the truth or see the light. You oppose it. And so that's really what happens on the streets down there. If people see a cross, if you try and talk to them about the Lord, there can be real opposition there. And some people just do not want to hear it. I remember one guy just saying, "I don't want your prayers." And he just ran away. And I was like, okay. But other people, when there is a receptive heart or an open heart, it's like everything else becomes quiet around them, and they want to listen and want to engage in this conversation with you to hear what the Lord might want to say to them.
Yeah.
And so
it's one of the things is, like, as we prayed with the team, we really felt to have the direction to actually set up our team on a corner in a different place, and just begin to they had signs that said free bro hugs or free mama hugs. And so they set up in this intersection, and you just saw different people would just look at that and just walk away. But then other people would just kind of, the defenses would come down, and then they would just go and they would just hug them, like just these hugs that seem so, arbitrary, whatever. And then their facade would just break. And then our team would be able to pray with them, and people would be able to speak life to them. And so the last night was just crazy, where we had free bro hugs, free mama hugs, free epic hugs, and at this place, and they would just engage people. And these big burly men, I remember is Justin, he would just point out the men, and just like, "Hey, I see you want a hug, come on, bring it in." And this one guy, he's like maybe 5'7", he just takes a run, or just starts running and leaps into Justin's arms. And it's like, it seems fun, but it's like many people haven't been touched. They haven't been embraced, especially by a man. And so to just our mom, and we saw what's name, Cheryl and Belinda, just those hugs just break down
people's walls,
the burliest of men.
Yeah.
And just see God do things in their life. So it was really cool.
Awesome. And so did you get the opportunity to lead somebody to the Lord?
Yes. Oh my goodness. It was, I think it was the last night just before we left. And so I'll just let you see a picture. We were just handing out these hygiene packs that we give, because there's lots of homeless people on the streets, and just needing the basic necessities. So we had a few left. And so Brian, he just saw a homeless gentleman, and he wanted to go and talk with him and just maybe give him a pack. And so we're on our way there, and this lady, I forget what her name, she's from another team, but she seems to have the same idea to engage this gentleman. And so she actually gives him some food. then we jump in and then we give him a hygiene pack, and then we just ask, so is there anything that we need to pray for you about? And he goes, yeah, that I would be pleasing to God.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said. And you just saw he's obviously homeless. He obviously has gone through a lot of stuff, and he's being on the streets, and it's really harsh. I mean, it's everywhere, but I know in that locale that it is pretty harsh. And he just kind of just said, I just want to be able to make the right decisions and different things. And I just said, well, you know what? You're the apple of his eye. He loves you so much, and that you are able, that you can not only know that you please him, but you can be in relationship with him and know him personally. And so we began to pray, and and so I began to pray, and just begin to just talk with him a little bit, and then right there we got to lead him to the Lord. And what was so amazing about it was that this lady right here, we never met before.
Yeah.
We never met before, but in that time, we were able to just connect for that one moment.
Yeah, that's incredible.
To lead Eric to the Lord. Wow. So if you think of him, his name is Eric. That's all I know, really. But wow, to have that moment with him was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. Just it just fills up your heart, those moments where somebody, surrenders their heart to Lord, or you can just feel the humility in people as you talk to them, depending on where they're at. This guy was really just sharing kind of where he was at, wanting to know the Lord, to please the Lord. And he was just ready, the harvest is ripe.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
And so, I just think about it. It's like, there's millions of people there, right? And I'm just one person. And this one person got connected with one other person. Yeah. And God touched his life. Man, amazing.
That's amazing.
So, wow.
Yeah. So, we hope and pray that we will be able to go again, and we really want to bring people with us as well. Yeah. When we go, and so if it's on your heart to join us, pray.
Yeah.
And we'll see what God does in the next year. Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, even as I left for Mardi Gras, even as I left, God started moving on the first plane. And then as I came back, even the last day, I think I had 5 divine appointments. I even got to pray for a cop. I got to minister to a couple in Cracker Barrel. And then the flight was delayed for 2 hours. Right. And I'm just, oh my goodness, it's a long day anyway. Yeah. But it just so happens that the person I sat next to, for the next 4.5 hours, we spoke. I got to share so many testimonies with her, and connected with her. And it was just one of those things where you just saw from start to finish, we saw the hand of God just moving wherever I was yielded to him to just serve. And so I challenge you that in the interruptions in the regular day of life, look for those moments where there's people that God is laser guided to you to share and to communicate his love, mercy, and the good news of Jesus Christ. It's incredible. And so I am really tired. It's been hardly got any sleep, and the last day was probably I got 19. It was 19 hours being awake. But it was all worth it. And it's good to be home. Thank you for your prayers. I know many of you have prayed for us. Yes. We felt them. We did. We felt them. We felt it when it was just really crazy breakthroughs where we just were able to even engage people on a deeper level. But I just want to say thank you for your prayers, your love, and your support, because we know that we can't do what we do without you.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much for just even so many people reached out to us just to say that they're praying and yeah, just supporting us, and so we're so grateful. And anything else that you want to share before we go?
No, just that one other thing, just one other thing. This is just so cool. It's like we're going around ministering to people, looking how we can do it, and I just realized, you know what? God's given me a talent of spoken word and just engaging that, and God's given me so many pieces that in that place, I'm wondering what can I do to reach these people, because so many people are going past me. So I just began just go around the city, just speaking in the spirit and just doing my proses in an elevated voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then people just began to listen, and just I've gotten to pray with people, and just in some of the way that it broke things down in people. And that's the gift that God's given me. And that's where my voice is. One of the things that God is part of my voice. And I just encourage you, find your voice, the things that, whether you sing, whether you dance, whether you whether you preach, whatever it is that God has a purpose for it, that beyond just our own personal things, to reach people. And so that's probably one thing I want to leave with you, that God's giving you a voice, whether it's where you're speaking or your gifting or whatever. Use your voice, and see God reach people. God bless you. And so thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next week on The Deposit with Brian and Diana Lee, episode 5.
Yes.
We will see you then.
Bye-bye.